Little critters in the box, little critters, they rock. Little critters, some stand on rocks. Little critters, let's paint them up today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the wonderful world. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. Today we're painting up our little critters. The little fun things that come in the box of terrain for your Shatterpoint and Legion games, because it's really, really fun and just an interesting thing to do. I'm going to try to paint all 4 in an hour. Yeah, you didn't know that. Anne didn't even know. Anne's like, what are we doing now? I'm like, I'm painting critters. She didn't know I was going to paint all of them in an hour. I'm going to try to paint all of them in an hour. We'll see what we can do. I mean, one of them is kind of painted, and one of them has got like a couple brush strokes on it. I think it's cheating, and I think it's fine. Sometimes I cheat. Sometimes I just cheat. I change the rule in the middle of games, too. What do you want? Should we start with the convoir, or should we start with the gonk, or what should we start with? I know exactly what I'm going to do with the gonk. Okay, let's start with the gonk. I'm going to paint the gonk. What color should we paint the convoir, though? I'm thinking purple and green, but I don't know. I know what I'm going to do with my gonk, though. Look at this little man. Look at this little guy. I'm going to take some black, and I'm going to take some blue. I'm going to take a little touch of green, and I'm going to dry brush. I'm just making this up. The colors don't matter. Excited about the womp rat. Gonk. It's the Seaster. What's his name? What's whose name? This gonk? I don't know what this gonk's name is. If there's a... And when does that article that we just finished, like, that's a little while away?
Sorry, which article?
The article we just finished.
Ooh, that's a while away.
Okay, so if you're reading the articles though about our Spec Ops, you might have saw a little gonk in mine, and that one was named oh man, I can't remember the name. Oh, GR-V7, or as his, well, not friends, because he doesn't have friends, because he's a saucy gonk, and he's highly belligerent gonk. They call him Gravel. That's that gonk's name inside my crashed lat. If you're reading those articles, you should be reading those articles. I hope you're reading those articles. Maybe you're not reading those articles. I don't know.
We're still waiting on part 2 to go to get approved.
Oh, so the first one. They've seen the first one.
They've seen the plan.
So I on the Shatterpoint terrain and stuff, I'm really enjoying like leaving the brush strokes in the paint job. It sort of gives that Clone Wars painterly feel. So a big chunky dry brush, just letting the brush strokes just sort of happen. Normally when you dry brush, you paint circles to smooth everything out and not get the lines. I actually want the lines. I'm actually trying to get the lines. Is there going to be any gameplay videos? We do gameplay videos every 3rd week of the month. That's just how it works. It's the 3rd week of the month is the gameplay videos. And then the rest of the time it's paint. And that's correct. You spend 75% of your time painting your miniatures and 25% of the time playing the game. So look at that. The math is perfect. I'm just adding higher and brighter layers of dry brush, of brighter colors, just adding in a little more light gray. Like I said, I want those streaks. Let's add a little white. What is this dry brush? How does it work? Dry brush is just a technique where you take a big old chunky brush like the one I got right here. This is a makeup brush. I just got these makeup brushes online, and they're really, really cheap. And you put the paint on the brush, and then you wipe it off. I'm using a shop towel. I also like using chunks of cardboard. You're trying to get all the paint off. You want very, very little paint. The less paint, the better. It should be a very slow buildup of color. and you dry brush it. So the brush is dry. You're not dipping it in water. You're not watering the paint. And you scratch it over top of the miniature, bringing out the details. Yep, everybody's different, and that's okay. But typically you spend a lot of time painting your miniatures. This is a hobby miniatures game. We make hobby miniatures games here at Atomic Mass Games, and we're going to focus on hobby miniatures. It's, you know, it's part of, I mean, it's just in the title. You can't define something with its own word, but in reality, that's what they are. They're a hobby miniatures game. They're meant to be built and painted and collected, and then you play your game. Let's add some cool stripes real quick. We're just going to do a couple. Straighten that line out. And do like a little zigzag. What are we talking about here? Questions. Give me some questions. I'm just painting little lines. I gotta paint this little gonk quick. Are they bright stripes because it's a poisonous gonk? No, he's warning you of the danger he is. This is a vicious gonk. This is a take no prisoners kind of gonk. You think Chopper was bad? Chopper trembles in fear at this gonk.
You mean Chopper War Crimes Syndulla?
Yeah. What am I talking about right here? A lot of work when the game streams up. Oh yeah, sometimes the game streams, it's a lot of work. Oh, I messed up that line. I gotta fix it. There we go. Batteries are dangerous. Yeah, don't eat batteries. Daz, have you ever used the foam that comes in some miniature game boxes to clean your brush with? I've not. I have not. I usually use shop towels or paper towels or my pants. Chopper does have quite the reputation, but let me tell you, this gonk right here, strikes the true fear. And the paint streams are also just good for just sitting back, chatting with y'all. Gives you an opportunity to ask questions, maybe get inspired, maybe learn a little something about painting that maybe you haven't learned yet. Shatterpoint and, Crisis Protocol, both, entry points to miniature hobby that a lot of people might not have known about. And, we want to provide the opportunity for everybody to come to the table and learn and grow together. That's important to us. It's important to everybody. That's how our games, that's how our lifestyles, keep going, keep growing. Always be a good opponent and be helpful, and you'll always have somebody to play against. Good attitude goes a long way, right? Look at him. I like the yellow and black. What's my favorite kind of droid? Probably gonks. I love the gonk so much. Such a silly little droid. Although the droid from Andor, I really, really love too. It's almost like a gonk in spirit. That little droid. I think this little spot, oh, too much water in my brush.
You got a raid.
Raid from M. Peebles. What up? Like, oh man, like Mario Van Peebles? That'd be amazing. A little bit more white down in there, because I got like a bubble. I gotta break that. I gotta break bubbles. I love breaking bubbles. All right, let's do convoir. What's the best way to practice freehand? Practicing freehand, get a piece of plastic card and just start practicing. Look at reference, decide what you want to do, and practice it over and over and over and over. I want to make up a purple color. So I've already started painting this convoir, and you can see like over top of the gray there's some white like little lines. I'm just going to start accentuating those. Keep the brush moist, keep that point tight and sharp. If you need to sharpen it, I call it sharpening the brush by dragging it across my thumb and rolling it. We're just going to take our time and draw a whole bunch of little lines. We're going to take our time, but also go really, really fast. And all those little lines are going to build up. We can go, he's got like a slicked back hairdo. Honestly, these lower or darker lines can be much broader. As it moves to the back, I'm just going to let it kind of get even bigger. Now we're gonna lighten that up just a touch. Maybe put a little touch of yellow in there. Can you talk about your thought process for adding plastic card bases to the train? What do you use to base your train? Oh yeah, everybody's asking. Okay, so I just got some plastic card. Plastic card is plastic cardstock. It's literally at any of your like model train shops or such like that. It's just sheets of styrene. That is what plastic card is. I personally like putting my terrain on it because I get to add like that little decorative element around the terrain. So if maybe in the Shatterpoint group you saw a couple of my pieces of terrain I posted, I've done it on all my terrain. And it lets me add like some interesting fun details around the building to give them. So I added like little bits of junk, I added some extra pipes, right? And you need those pipes to go somewhere like when they're stuck in the ground. So it adds that place to add the little bits of junk. It adds, and then of course I covered it. Well, I didn't cover it, my partner covered it in little bits of flock, so grass and flowers, and it just adds personality and life to the scene. It helps set the scene. Once again, we make miniature games, miniature hobby games, and so setting the scene can be super important to telling that story when you're playing the game, right? Building that narrative and telling a story of where your game takes place. So that's the thought process of why I did it. And you just kind of cut like little odd shaped pieces of plastic card and glue them on the bottom. And then you add a little, and then I take sandpaper and I bevel the edges because you don't want the square edge of a cut. I want a beveled edge to kind of transition down into the game mat or the game board. Put a little magenta down in there too. Do I find the plastic card helps stabilize it? No. What do you mean by stabilize? I don't think the plastic card is necessary to stabilize anything. So I don't. It's. Sorry, I'm not following. So it doesn't help stabilize because I didn't have problems with it being unstable in the first place. Sorry. It just adds, for me, it's purely aesthetic. A little magenta hidden in there. Oh yeah, the reddish sand walls. I love the reddish sand walls. Yeah, really helped add a lot to the look. Let's not forget the little wings. What am I doing? Look at this little moth guy. Just a cute bug hanging out. Yeah, it adds that footprint to blend into the mat, which I think is really nice. It just adds that aesthetic. So aesthetic. That's why I love miniature games. Miniature hobby games, aesthetic. And that's number one. There's nothing like it. You walk into a game store, you know, and you see a table of Shatterpoint or Marvel Crisis Protocol all done up. Like, there's nothing like that. It's such a unique aspect to what a miniature hobby game is and why it is so different and unique. And so I always want to accentuate that when I can. You know, it draws a lot of attention to the game and catches eyes, and then next thing you know, somebody's coming over and talking to you, and then you're friends. You know, good attitude, and next thing you know, you got a new person to play against. It's great. Go back to that light color. How do we feel about the purple? I like the purple. I can't hear you.
I listen. But purple's my favorite color, so.
Purple's my favorite color.
Yay.
Purple and magenta. I think it needs a little sharper red in those, well, deeper purple. Let's go deeper purple. Magenta and purple mixed together, really deepen it up. Yeah, really painting is turn 0. I want to show up with a 6 squad painted just to be like, look at my 6 squad. And then my friends are like, oh, and they're like, look at my 6 squad. And I'm like, ooh. And I'm like, ooh, we all got 6 squads. And we're like, yeah. And then I go back, I'm like, their squads were so good. I got to up my game. And then I paint something even more sick. And I'm like, come back next week. I'm like, look at my 6 squad. And they're like, what? And I'm like, and they're like, look at ours. I'm like, no, defeated. And then I go back and I'm like, well, I gotta outdo them. I can't. I want to celebrate your win, but because we should all celebrate each other's wins, Ann.
Sure.
Look at all the little colors in the little purple owl. No, don't like those. Get rid of those. Am I going to be able to do this? Oh, gosh. So nervous.
It's like when you're painting eyeballs and you get the eyeball sweats.
I don't get the eyeball sweats anymore.
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry. You do enough eyes and you learn to breathe and you don't get the sweats, you don't get the worries. But that's why we're here painting, so we can talk about that and then give you tips. And I can help you not get the eyeball sweats. Not the eyeball sweats. The eyeball sweats. Gross. Don't sweat out your eyeballs. That's called crying. Oh, I like that green owl. Sure, green owl. We're gonna bring in this saturated purple and blend it over top of everything. That's going to change the tone slightly of the stuff in the highlights. Just going to tie it all together. It's almost like a very blendy glaze. When I do glazes, I think of glazed donuts. How am I blending like this? Effectively, it's called a two-brush wet blend. It is a practice technique. If you've done any miniature painting, you know dry brush and wash and all that stuff. And they're very, what I call automatic success techniques. You know, the first time I learned about washes, way back in the days of the 1990. I was like, whoa, holy cow. Like a little wash, like just a really wet paint over top, and it goes into all the details. Crazy, this is magic. I can't believe it. Such success automatically. And two brush wet blending is a little more practice technique, meaning you need to practice it more to really understand it. But once you get it, it lets you create effectively airbrush smooth blends with your paintbrushes. I'm going into a lot of explanation, I apologize. But effectively what I'm doing is I'm applying paint with one brush and then stretching it out with another brush that's slightly damp. And that learning to control that stretch is what makes it blend over top and create those wonderfully smooth transitions. It also gives me speed. Lets me work very, very fast. Look at this little bike. Alright, we're going to paint the eyes black first. Biggest eyes in the core set right here. These should not give you eye sweats. Just remember to breathe. Do not stop breathing. Do not hold your breath when you're painting in the details. That makes you sort of lock up. Causes the body to create stress. Totally no bueno. So you want to continue to breathe. Every time I say that, there's a song I want to say. Yep. We can only talk about stuff when they're ready. Talking about stuff when it's not ready means it's not ready, which means we can't talk about it, which means we would give you bad information. And no information is better than bad information. What color should I just leave them black and just do the white dots? I feel like that's the right call here, right?
Yeah. That would give him like a mysterious vibe.
Mystery owl. He's an international owl of mystery.
Just a little dusk boy.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great call, actually, Anne. I need the Huldra blue. Where's the Huldra blue? Schick stole the Huldra blue. I see how it is around here. I can use this deep blue. I'm going to use deep blue. We're going to put a little bit. Uh-oh, that's clogged. Do not squeeze when it's clogged. You'll make a mess. I have paint all over my shirt. I have to order new shirts. Because I got paint all over my shirt the other day. And I'm one of those weird people that I just buy the same shirt. So like, you might be like, Daz wears the same shirt every day. Actually, I don't. I just have...
Closet, like
Literally, it's the same shirt. It's the same pair of socks. It's the same pair of boxers. I literally, I have like 30 pairs of the exact same sock. You know how much time that saves me? Oh, it's amazing. I'm going to put just a little purple, or this dark blue in his shadow. Oh, look what that does to it. You see that? Now he's a dusk owl. Maybe right around under the eyes. Little glaze in the wings. Look at that little dusky fellow. Oh, we still haven't painted his tail. See, I'm just going to glaze that out and let it dissipate. Blending. Yeah, you can actually learn to two-brush blend to a point where it literally looks like airbrushing if you get it just right. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of work. And, you know, that's not necessary for every project, but sometimes it's nice to be able to bust that out. What's the point of the shove to? It doesn't do anything different. It does exactly what it does. It measures 1 inch. It just is at an angle for it to reach underneath weird angles of terrain because we made terrain that's like crazy all over the top. There's no mysticism to unlock. It's just a tool. And if you don't need it, you don't need it. It's more for people who want to use it, and an option. It's an option. And options aren't bad. Even if it's not an option that you need, options aren't bad. So I said I was going to paint all 4, but man, I'm getting stuck on this little owl boy.
Okay, you sped through the gonk.
I did. That poor gonk didn't even know it hit him. For being the most terrifying gonk in the galaxy, I just flavor blasted my way through him. Okay, we'll need to glaze that down just a touch. But I think that's pretty good. How's it look?
I like it.
Not bad for what, 15 minutes?
It's so dynamic with these little layers, little lavender.
Yeah, you said dusk owl, and I was just like, oh, dusk. Like if we put a little blue in there, it'll that kind of that creates that feeling, that emotion of nighttime, and so it adds that like little touch of flavor to it. And you can even go the other way. So I did not mix that paint very well, and boy, it really is terrifying. But I could make a light blue dot on the underside reflection as well of the eye, and this one has to be smaller than the other dot. And that just adds a little more of that duskiness to it. Yeah, if you have shaky hands, and you know, it's for somebody, but not everybody sometimes, right? You know. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily, some things just aren't necessarily for you, but might be super useful or super important to somebody else. But I'm glad you asked. Like, there's no harm in asking, but yeah, there's nothing special about it. It's just a funky tool. All right. I'm not going to do the rock. I did the gonk. I did the convoir. I got to do a tuka. Am I doing anything weird on the tuka?
You could do any color.
Am I in screen? Because he's really short. Do I need to raise him?
I'll fix it up.
You can, I'll just raise it up.
Yeah, he looks,
Down?
right there.
Right there? Locked. There's hair on him. All right, talk to me. Talk to me, folks. What color? We got a black and yellow gonk droid. We have a purple dusk convoir. What is this tuka? We got 20 minutes to pick. Tuka and a womp rat. Oh, what's that? Womp rat? I gotta get through the tuka before I get to the womp rat. So if you want to see the womp rat, you gotta get me to the tuka. You're not giving me the colors yet. The stat line for orange and red, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow. I got green right here. You need something real. Well, okay, we can do something fun, I think. Oh, that's ink. Oof. We don't want ink. That's a navy and yellow, blue, red, tiger. What about green, yellow, tiger? This paint is not shook at all. Purple and white like a Cheshire. Oh, purple and white like a Cheshire. I know we just did a purple convoir, but I kind of like the Cheshire. What do you think?
I mean, you don't have to ask me if I like purple. Maybe it's just thematic.
It's just the thing today.
Maybe that's just how animals evolve on this particular planet.
On Dallas's planet. That's right, it's our planet.
The planet Perpetron.
Hold your blue. Oh, wait, see? Y'all are just rude now. These guys are super tiny, so you don't have to be really precise here. Once again, some little hashes. Where's the stripings on the Cheshire? I know the tail.
I'll pull a reference for you.
Gotta have the references. You can't do anything without the references. Without the references, you got nothing to look at. Even when it's made up. Silly stuff, you gotta have the references to look at. Oh, look at this boy. Majestic. As soon as I get home, this is going to get taken from me. I hope you understand this, Ann. Do you understand this, Ann?
I do.
Someone's going to steal it. I'll let you guess who.
I know I was gonna be like, yeah, someone.
Someone unnamed is going to steal this from me. I have to do a little interpretive dancing on this one, but that's fine. Those little paws. Ah, Butamus. I'm just kind of going around. We're going to get some paint on droid, and that's okay, because I want to really get the color up next to the little paws. We'll fix that all later. And then that like very bluish purple. Almost like a dark periwinkle. Man, that blue is not mixed up very well, and I don't think we have a paint shaker around here. Okay, let's try that again. There's the color. A little off. That's okay. We're just inspired. We're not recreating. You know what? Keep that in mind. We're inspired. We're not recreating. Wish I could do a Cheshire impersonation. Such a distinct voice. So I have little tiny hash marks in the dark purple, and I'm pushing little tiny light colored right up against the dark, because the light against the dark is going to create the high points of contrast. That's going to give us that little twisty-turvy striping pattern. The brighter you can get that line up against that dark line, that light line against the dark line, the more contrast and the more you're going to see those stripes. This needs to be more red around the mouth. Get a couple yellows in here. We mess up, take that second damp brush, and clean that paint up. Painting measures is the fine art of correcting one's mistakes. Wow, just going at it today. So many life lessons in miniature painting, isn't there? A little patience, practice, learning to breathe, take your time, be in the moment. Asking questions about how something works or why something doesn't work, even more important. Have Ann shake it when you do this layer. Rude! Lots of magenta.
This cat and convoir are best friends.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, we only have, holy cow, 10 more minutes. We haven't even got to the, we're going to use that same blue trick. We need to get to the womp rat. So while I'm doing this, what color should we paint the womp rat? Not purple this time, I promise. This blue is going to richen and also make that yellow really stand out. Black gray. So what color we painted the gonk? We're just doing 2 color schemes today. I love it. This guy needs way more highlighting. Talk to me, kids. You're running out of time. Brown gray, bubonic plague rat. I want more red in there. Just trying to do like little fur textures here and there. Remembering to keep light against dark. Sort of like with life, you need that little darkness to make the light spots shine. Alright, he's so close to done, but we only got 7 minutes. I think that's pretty good. Not bad. He needs his teethers done though. Take a little magenta and a little warm brown. Get a little base layer to those teeths. Now it looks like, look at him. Ah, terrifying. Okay, Womp Rat. So in the gameplay, you know those gameplay videos we do, Ann? On the 3rd week of the month? I need a drink. The last, 2 have been Shatterpoint gameplay?
Correct.
Yeah. They featured, the last one featured the like what we call like the garage, right? And the garage comes with a Womp Rat. And look at this terrifying beast. 3 meters. 3 meters of Womp. Let's take a little green, a little brown. We're going to dry brush. I'm going to go straight back and from front to back. This is, I wouldn't call this dry brushing. You know, more like wet brushing. I'm actually just wanting some black to show through, but I want all the lines going back. But it's much heavier than a dry brush would be. But see, by going front to back, I'm creating that fur texture. Delicious. That's a big rate. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. We were like, oh, let's put a Womp Rat in the next terrain pack. Everybody's like, well, how big is that? And of course, we're like, well, it's 3 meters. And then we're like, then we did the math. It's like, oh, that's huge. It's a huge rat. Overbrushing, yeah. Or, yeah, 2 meters. Sorry, 2 meters. Well, 2 meters is 6 foot. The garage.
Which we technically haven't announced, but we've teased.
We've teased it. Oh, now I'm teasing the Womp Rat.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem. I was just answering your chat.
Yeah, we haven't announced. We just teased it. Gotta watch those gameplay trailers. Or those gameplay streams. Third week of the month. And that's when we do it. I'm adding a little blue to it to increase the browns. Boo, ba, boo, boo. Oh, that's too much. We want a little warmth in there. Too cold, too cold, too cold. Too cold, too cold. Ain't gonna win awards, but it's gonna be a womp. The more fried the brush, the better on this too. Oh, you watched it and you spaced out and you didn't catch it. We gotta go back and watch it again. Add a little bit more light color. Before we start glazing over top. The next time I hear somebody say, have you ever seen a more wretched hive of scum and villainy? I'm going to be like, have you seen a wretched hive of womp rats? My, look at these. What color should the eyes be?
Red.
Oh, like beady red eyes? Terrifying. I love it. Oh, white, yellow, red mixed together makes like flesh colors. Like an ochre color, a little desaturated. Yeah. We're running out of time. We did pretty good for an hour.
Heck yeah.
Better get your final questions in. You're running out of time. You're running out of time. We went over today. That means I'm going to get in trouble. I got meetings. How many jumbo shrimp tall? Oh, you do the math. I'm bad at math. That's why I'm not in dev. Look at him. What color we paint his skinny leg? I kind of like him, kind of that white bony color, but they could probably use like a little glaze. Probably like a, maybe like a little weird mix of colors, probably, yeah. A little bit of green in there, a little bit of red, a little bit of funky brown. What color is funky brown? Funky brown is the weird brown I just accidentally mixed on my palette. It doesn't really matter. We're painting with jazz today. The tail definitely needs to be like fleshy. All right, we're about done. We're going to call it in just a moment. Last chance for questions. Not about jumbo shrimp. Maybe gumbo shrimp. Oh man, I love gumbo. Anne, are you a gumbo person?
It's alright.
It's alright. I also love shrimp and grits so much. Yeah, we'll bring some of the fleshiness down to the hands. Because that's gross. Oh, okay, he's really close to done. Really close to done. So I think the only thing we have left to do on, I think a solid start on all four. Look at that, he's like looking back at you.
Wherever you turn him, his gaze finds me.
Ugh. Now you know why Luke was like target practicing these things. This is like, I'm just driving around my farm tractor popping them off. All right, so we did pretty good. I think I need to finish the teeth, do a little more work on the hands and the tail, but I think that's a pretty solid little fun bit. We did the convoir, the dusk owl. Really like all the textures. It's a really fun, like little tiny miniature to work on, like little textures. Help you develop your brush. What?
Hold it slightly lower just because we changed the gimbal height. There we go. Thank you.
Let you practice your brush control, which everybody has to practice. We got our Cheshire infused Tuka of the same color scheme, basically. Not a bad start. Need to choose a droid color, though. And then, of course, our gonk, who has the higher kill count than Chomper, because this gonk is on a rampage. He needs a little warning light right there in the front, little red warning light. Like, this gonk is not here for your tood. There we go. There we go. Now you know. Danger gonk. DE-GR7. Danger 7. I don't know why 7.
DNGR.
Yeah, DN-GR. DN-GR. Danger gonk. That's it. We did it. They didn't ask more questions. This is what they get. We're 10 minutes over. They didn't ask questions. It's time for meetings. All right, check us out every Tuesday and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on Twitch. We do Atomic Mass Transmissions live every week. We paint. And then on the third week of the month, we play games. That's how we do it. And then for all the latest news, information, announcements coming from Atomic Mass Games about all of our wonderful games, you can check us out on Twitter and or Instagram. That's where they post the fun rotations and the cool things and like the little teasers, those little silhouettes. I love the silhouettes so much. Matt does such a good job. So until next week, we'll see you later. Go out and be heroes. Bye.